Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you have seen the part 1. Now we are going to move to the part 2 of chapter 6. Part 2 of chapter 6. Okay. So we had completed first point. Now we are moving on to the second point. Okay. So I'm reading from here and then I'll explain. Okay. A person who migrated to India from Pakistan became an Indian citizen if he or so before starting the second point, I'll explain you about, we will revise about the first point. So what did the first point say? A person who had domiciled in India and fulfilled 3 conditions. Okay, first point has already been explained in the first part. If you have not seen, just go and visit. I am just revising. Okay, so a person who has domicile of India and also fulfilled any one of the 3 conditions. So the first point was domicile of India and fulfilled one of 3 conditions. Okay, so what were the 3 conditions? Born in India, or either parents born in India, or the third point was ordinarily resident before 5 years of commencement of constitution. Okay, and this was article 5. Now we are going to see the next point. Okay, now the next point is a person who migrated to India from Pakistan became an Indian citizen. Okay, now this in second point they are saying a person who migrated to India. Okay, a person is migrated to India from Pakistan. Okay, from Pakistan. Okay, now the person who is migrated to India from Pakistan became an Indian citizen. Now this person can become Indian citizen, can become Indian citizen if, okay, he or either of his parents or any of his grandparents were born in undivided India. Okay, now this person can become citizen of India if the first condition is either of parents or grandparents were born in undivided India. Okay, if either of his parents or grandparents were born in undivided India and also fulfilled any one of the 2 conditions. Now this is the first condition, plus they have to fulfill any of the 2 conditions which we will be mentioning here. Okay, that is, in case he migrated to India before July 1948. Now in case either parents or grandparents are migrated to India on or before July 1948. He had been ordinary resident in India since the date of migration. Okay, now since from this date the person should be ordinary resident of India. Either parents or grandparents, if they have migrated to India before July 19th, 1948, they should be ordinary resident of India. Okay. Or in case he migrated to India on or after. Now this is on or before. Now if they are migrating on or after, ठीक है, मतलब इस डेट के पहले माइग्रेट हुए तो ये कंडीशन रहेगी और इस डेट के आफ्टर माइग्रेट हुए तो ये कंडीशन रहेगी. जुलाई 19 सेम डेट. 1948 had been registered as a citizen of India. है ना? Is should be registered as citizen of India. But a person could be so registered only if has been resident of India for 6 months preceding the date of his application or registration. Now in this case, what is happening? If you are migrating before July 19, 1948, you should be ordinary resident of India. Okay, since the date of migration. And if you are migrating after that, you should be registered as a citizen of India. But before applying for this registration, you should be, before applying for registration, you should be resident of India for 6 months. Okay? Clear? Now what, it is a bit confusing in the book, but what we have done, we have broken it down into different small points. Okay? So what they are saying, if a person, second point, if a person is migrated to India from Pakistan, then he should satisfy either of these conditions. Okay, so this first condition and either of these conditions. Okay, first is compulsory and one of these two conditions. Okay, so the first condition is either parents or grandparents should be born in undivided India. And the second condition is, if you are migrating before July, then you should be ordinary resident of India. And if you are migrating after July, then you should be registered as citizen. But before applying for this registration, you should reside for 6 months in India. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now we'll move on to the third point. Fine. Now what is the third point is saying? A person who migrated to Pakistan from India. Now what we have seen here? To India from Pakistan. Now what they are saying here? A person who migrated to Pakistan from India. Migrated from India to Pakistan when after March 1, 1947. After March 1, 1947. Okay. Now, but later returned to India. Now, the person migrated. He is migrating from India to Pakistan, but the person is coming back. There are possibilities that the person might have faced problem or something else. The person might have changed the decision. So for those kind of people also, they have kept certain provisions. So what was the provision? The person went and then came back to India for resettlement. Okay, but came back for resettlement can become citizen. How? For this, he had to be resident in India for 6 months preceding the date of application of registration. Now, how can this person become citizen? For becoming citizen, what he have to do is, he have to reside for 6 months in India preceding the date of application for registration. This is Article 7. This was Article 6. Now what they are saying is, if a person went from India to Pakistan, but then he had certain mind change, and when did that person go? After March 1, 1947, but due to some change of mind, the person came back to India for resettlement, means settling again in India. So that person can become citizen. This person can become citizen. How this person can become citizen? The person has to reside for 6 months in India preceding the date of application for registration. Means if you are registering today, before at the time of making registration, you should have lived in India for 6 months. Only then you will be able to apply for the registration, and then you can become the citizen of India. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now, fourth point is, a person who or any of whose parents, grandparents were born in undivided India, but who is ordinarily residing outside India shall become an Indian citizen. Now, the fourth kind of person is whose parents or grandparents were born in India, but parents and grandparents are born in India, but the condition is who is ordinarily residing outside India. Now, their parents and grandparents were born in India, but ordinarily at present they are living outside India. Okay, but they are ordinarily living outside India. How they can become citizen? Okay, how this type of people can become citizen? So it is said that shall become an Indian citizen if he has been registered as a citizen of India by a diplomatic or consular representative of India in the country of his residence. So the first condition is they can become citizen if they are registered as citizen of India by diplomatic or consular representative of India in the country of his residence. Okay, that means, for example, if my parents or my grandparents were born in India and now I am living abroad. For example, I am living in Australia. So how can I be a citizen of India? I can go to the diplomatic or consular representative of India in Australia. Okay, so there will be an office of diplomatic or consular representative. For example, the IFS officers are posted there. You can go there in the country of his residence. Means I am living in Australia, so my country of residence is Australia, but I have to apply for Indian citizenship. So I will go there and I will register myself. Okay. Now the next point is whether before or after commencement of the constitution. So this they could do before the commencement of constitution. Okay. Thus the provision covers the overseas Indian who may want to acquire the Indian citizenship. But they are not talking this about the present scenario. They are talking about this. If this was the situation before the commencement of constitution, then you could do this. Okay. So this was article 8, and under article 8 what they have done is they have covered overseas means Indians who are living abroad, overseas Indian who wanted Indian citizenship. Okay. So we'll just revise it quickly. So what is the first point is saying? If you want to be a citizen of India under Article 5, then you should have if you are a person who has domicile of India, then there are 3 conditions in which you can gain citizenship. You should be born in India, either of your parents should be born in India, or you should be a ordinary resident of India 5 years immediately before the commencement of constitution. Now the second point is if a person is migrating to India from Pakistan. Okay, if a person is migrating to India from Pakistan, he can become Indian citizen if this condition plus one of this condition. Okay, so this condition is either parents or grandparents are born in undivided India, and if they are migrating before 19 July 1948, then they should be ordinary resident of India, or after July 1948 should be registered as citizen of India. And before applying for the registration, you should be resident of India for 6 months. The third point is if you are migrated from India to Pakistan but you change your mind, this should happen after March 1, 1947, but then you change your mind, came back to India for resettlement. In this case, before applying for the registration, you should reside for 6 months in India. This is Article 7. And the last article is, this article has been provided for overseas Indian who were out of India before the commencement of constitution. In this case, your parents and grandparents should be born in India, but ordinarily they are living outside India, and in this case you have to go to the diplomatic consular representative of India in the country which you are living. Okay, and this condition, mind well, is before the commencement of constitution. Okay, now moving on to the next part. I hope you have understood and made the notes of this. next point. Now, moving on, the other constitutional provision with respect to citizenship are as follow. Now we are going to see Article 9, Article 10 and Article 11, what these articles are saying. Okay. No person shall be citizen of India or be deemed to citizen of India if he has voluntarily acquired the citizenship of any foreign country. Okay. If you have acquired voluntarily, that means with your own wish, without anyone forcing you, voluntarily acquired citizenship of any foreign country. In this case, you will be deemed to be citizen of India. You will no more be citizen of India. That means you cannot hold dual citizenship. If you are citizen of India, you cannot hold citizenship of any foreign country. Okay. Article 9 says this. Article 9. Then second point, every person who or is deemed to be citizen of India shall continue to be such citizen subject to the provision of any law made by the Parliament. What Article 10 is saying? Article 10 is saying every person who is deemed to be citizen of India, every person who is no more deemed to be citizen. What will happen to such people? Every person who is deemed to be citizen of India shall continue to be such citizen. This person will no more be citizen. That means this person will continue to be losing the Indian citizenship till subject to the provision of any law made by the Parliament. Subjected to any law made by the Parliament. Unless and until Parliament makes any law to give you back your citizenship or to cancel your citizenship, unless Parliament is making any law, you will deemed to be the citizen of India. Article 10 is saying this. Parliament shall have the power to make any provision with respect to acquisition and termination of citizenship and all other matters relating to citizenship. Now what Article 11 is saying? Parliament will have power to make laws with respect to what? Acquisition or termination of citizenship. Now if you remember, in the first part we have seen that Constitution has from Article 5 to 11, under part 2, Constitution has not there are no provisions in the Constitution regarding to the acquisition and termination of citizenship. But therefore the Article 11 further clarifies that Parliament has been given power to make such laws. Okay. Now citizenship. Now guys, on page number 6.2, Citizenship Act 1955 is given over here. So kindly go through it. Nothing, the amendment, in which year the amendments were made, that is mentioned over there. And we will move on to the acquisition of citizenship. Okay. So we are moving on to the next point. That is acquisition of citizenship. Now what does acquisition of citizenship means? Okay. The Citizenship Act of 1955 prescribes 5 ways of acquiring citizenship. So acquisition of citizenship means in what ways you can get acquirements, you can get citizenship. Acquirements, in what ways you can get the citizenship. So according to Citizenship Act 1955, you can acquire Indian citizenship in 5 ways. Okay, according to Citizenship Act 1955, you can acquire Indian citizenship in 5 ways. What are those 5 ways? You can acquire Indian citizenship by birth, by descent, by registration, by naturalization, by incorporation of territory. Okay, so how can you acquire citizenship of India? You can acquire by birth, if you are born, by descent, by registration, by naturalization, and by incorporation of the territory. Okay, so guys, we will be seeing this in the next part. Okay, as I told you, the chapter is bigger and we are doing a detailed reading session and then writing the notes session, so it will take time and we will be continuing in the next part. So keep on watching. Thank you so much.